The following podcast is being brought to you by the Defy Life Podcast Network.
And I was like, yes, hi. I was so excited.
Oh, we said hi. Let me get hi again.
Okay, hi.
A guy get to a point and he asks you to marry him, he really wants to marry you.
Mm-hmm. He ready.
Like he really feels like, you know what, she's the one. She's the one.
You already getting the goods. You got to pay for it. Bring me the ring and get on one knee.
Okay.
Or two.
You need time to observe someone and really get a sense of how well do they treat you, how well do they handle adversity.
You're not the one because you don't have grit, the perseverance. You ain't really want me because you ready to give up. Because I said no, you shouldn't have asked. But since I said no, now it's your job to stay in the game and try to fight for it.
Boy, on 5 Heartbeats, when you make the announcement you're going solo at the award ceremony.
What up, what up, what up? Happy One Eye Shut Day. Welcome to One Eye Shut, our podcast about many topics from the perspective of 3 married couples. Glad y'all came out. Glad to be back to listen to the dopest podcast out there. You can listen to us on defylifepods.com. You can also listen to us on iTunes, Spotify, Apple Music, or any of the other popular podcast networks out there. Y'all, welcome to season 2. Can you believe it? Just now while we were waiting to come in, Al was like, yo, season 2, yo, we here. Would not have... I don't even know what I expected. I don't think I even looked that far. But yes, welcome. Glad to be back. It's been a minute. It feels really great to be here. While I was waiting, like I literally had butterflies, right? It's like a little bit anxious. It's that thing of, come on, all right, let's get started. This is like the longest lead in that Jay has ever played, right? To the nervousness of, it's been a minute, like, it's been a minute, right? To just being excited and glad to be back. I missed the team. I miss just connecting with all of the listeners. The other day, one of our listeners, I was telling her that we were getting ready to come back and start recording again. And she was like, yo, good, because your listeners missed you. So shout out to Diane, making me feel good. Like, she's one of our biggest supporters in all things real and true, right? And some stuff that maybe not so much. But anyway, shout out to Diane. Thanks for supporting and listening. Thanks to all of our supporters that come back week after week. And so when we post, we make sure we will let you know, we are back. And just glad to be here. All right, y'all. So, crew, y'all ready?
We ready.
We ready. We're back.
Y'all know what time it is.
Yes. And in our true tradition, let's just go around, say hello to the people, say what's up, and just get your word of the day. Like, it's been a long time now. Shouldn't nobody have no excuses. You done had about, 3, 4, 5 months or so to come up with a word of the day. Y'all, you ready? Word of the day. We're going to start with Al. I'm going to give everybody else some more time to think about their word of the day. We're going to put Al on the spot.
Dirty.
I'm saying because I'm not doing him dirty. I've given him an opportunity to rise to the occasion.
Yeah.
Setting him up for success.
He always sets us up good.
I'm saying that's what I'm talking about. Al, how you doing?
So, I ain't never been scared to lead off. Welcome. Thank you. I appreciate being second. Let me jump on in. because it is season 2, and like you, I have missed this. I've missed them, the listeners. I've missed my crew, the co-hosts, and so this is good to be back. Good to be back. My word of the day is 2 words. Because again, if y'all listened during season 1, y'all know I flip the script every now and then. My word is 2 words, and it is passion project. Those are my 2 words of the day. And this is a passion project. It's a word that I learned over the last couple of weeks. Someone hit me to that concept, and I'm a believer that we all need passion projects in our life because of what it offers to you in terms of the joy, the satisfaction, the love, what it feeds your soul and your spirit. So shout out to One Eye Shut for being one of my passion projects, because it was obvious how much I missed it on the lead-in, like Gina mentioned. Like, I was feeling a little, my heart racing, like, yeah, let's get it in. So I'm glad to be back. I'm glad to be here, and because this is a big part of my week. So what up, crew? And it's still A.L. for those who might have got it twisted. Al is back in the building. What up, fam?
So thank you, Al. And Ladine, you hit it on the nose. Like, leave it to Al to start it off right, to get that energy flowing. And before we take the mic from Al, since this is season 2, we got some new listeners. We've got some folks that may have forgotten because we haven't talked about it in a while. So tell us about, people always ask me if I tell them the name of our podcast, I always get the little, side eye, or, the eyebrow raise, or because it is kind of a unique name. So since you came up with it, Al, why don't you just tell the people about the name, what it means, all that good stuff.
It's provocative.
It's that thing, y'all. So again, One Eye Shut is an African proverb that was shared to me a long time ago, and it's a proverb that talks about relationships and marriages. And this is the idea that when you are dating, when you are courting, you should have both eyes open. However, once you get married, you should live one eye shut. And basically, be real critical, pay attention when you are courting, have all open, all in. But once you settle down and realize that this is the person I'm going to be with for the rest of my life, close one of your eyes and enjoy life. So, one eye shut. Shout out to my crew for embracing the concept and allowing it to be the name. And yeah, appreciate y'all.
Or some people call it eyes wide shut.
And for those, I'll give a citation. I think that was episode 1 in season 1.
I think it was like 2. I don't even remember which was.
Go back and listen to that show.
Hello. we couldn't help but to embrace it, Al, because it was dope.
It is dope.
Like, it's just dope. All right, so let's swing to the left. What you got, Keita? How you doing?
Hey, welcome back. I'm excited to be back with you guys. My word, I had one last week, I think, but today no, but I'll say I feel love. Love is my word. Okay. I had a friend that reached out, just like you were saying, Gina, one of my coworkers, and we became friends. We don't see each other much, but she reached out to me and said how she was listening to some old, podcast shows. I was like, what? You are? Because we don't talk much. And she was like, yeah. She was like, they're really good. And I was like, oh, thank you. So I feel really loved and like just heard. So I just wanted to tell you guys that let's keep pushing it. Let's keep talking about subjects, because you never know like who's listening, to the podcast. So And shout out to Kimmy. She was the one that reached out to me. So thank you, girl, for listening. But I feel love. I feel heard.
Thanks, Kimmy. Spread the love. Spread the love. Yes. All right, Thomas.
All right. Yeah, what's good?
That's
Happy to be
good.
back home. You guys know what it is. One eye shut, two eyes wide open. You know how we call it.
Oh, we add to it now.
Adding to it
Wow.
now. 2 eyes wide open, eyes wide
This
shut.
nigga remixing the wrong name.
Yeah, eyes wide open. You got the one eye shut, might get hit across the head, man. But hey, but serious tip. My word is salivate. My boy, he's gonna get to. So they called out everyone that's gonna participate in the varsity scrimmage tomorrow, and he came to the car, excited. He was like, Dad, I made it. I'm dressing out tomorrow. I'm dressing out for the scrimmage. So I'm just salivating, man. I just wanna see what he does out there on the football field.
Oh, that's so good. So you're talking about
Nice.
Carter. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Pooh, you actually had me missing when my kids were in high school and athletics right now.
Right.
I ain't got to do that no more, and I actually miss it right now. No.
Yeah. Hey, man, he was geek. He was geek because he was like, yeah, they taking 3 freshmen. I'm one of them. So he's out.
Nice.
Can't wait.
Right.
Yes. Yes. Make sure you send us some film.
No doubt.
Yes. All right. Let's see. Ladine. What's up, girl?
I mean, hi. I am very excited to be back. Welcome back. Yes. What's happening with Ladine? My word of the day is I'm hyped. As you can see, my energy is very high. My energy just got crazy last night. I was watching the verses. New York represented. My LOX did they thing. I love you, Dipset, but I'm sorry. Woo! It was beautiful. So I'm just hype. I'm hype. It gave me a different kind of energy. I can't explain what I love seeing I love seeing people in their element, especially I love rap music, I love hip hop, so especially my people in their element. Like I love it. I love it when they get older and they still got the life in them and the energy. Like I love seeing people age with grace and fucking win. Like it's a beautiful thing to me. So I'm hyped. Yeah, I'm excited. I started a different journey for myself. I'm like 107 days from 40. So I got this whole thing I'm doing for Ladine to get my body right, my mind right, everything ready for 40. So I'm excited. And yeah, that's about it. That's all we got going. A whole lot of good stuff.
Whole lot of good stuff. It's so good. Yeah, we gonna let it sit just as it is, right? No, because I didn't really hear a word of the day, but it's okay.
I said hype. I said I'm hype.
Oh, hype, hype. Okay,
Come
I'm
on,
sorry.
Gina.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. All right, JR, on to you.
Yo. Welcome back, y'all. I love y'all. I missed y'all. My word of the day is appreciative, for several reasons. So instead of doing 8 words like Al does, I'm gonna do the same word, but for several reasons.
We all got our styles.
Right. I'm the spinoff. But yeah, so I'm highly appreciative. Al and Pooh know occasionally I'll get in a mushy mood on these shows and just look back to from where we started. It was just, what was it, 4 dudes on a conference call sounding like shit. Sound quality was terrible on a Sunday morning, but again, like Al mentioned, it started off as a passion project, and we started this because, and I say this, I mean Defy Life in general, because we just love doing it, and So I'm appreciative for that and where we've come from. Appreciative to Ladine from when I told her I wanted to start this thing and what me and Pooh was planning on doing. And that Al was on board, and she looked at me sideways until I said Al was on board. She was like, yeah, do that shit. So
that's my favorite. I'm sorry.
I was like, okay. Yeah, so I'm appreciative to you, and just the things that have been going on since season one. I'm appreciative for our listeners. Shout out to Kimmy. Shout out to Diane. Shout out to the Coopers, who were our one and only guests on season one. Shout out to Deja, who's been harassing us for the last month since we were supposed to come back. So Deja, here you go. And everybody else. And I wish I can name everybody, but by name. But you know who you are. We missed y'all. Thank y'all for coming back. So we are highly appreciative. And lastly, I'm for the things that have been going on. So I'm appreciative for you Pooh, and you Al, because I'm officially a youth coach now. And so all the things that I've been going through over the last 2 months, coaching Lincoln's 12-year-old football team, all the things that go with that. I'm appreciative of all coaches out there, because last year when I was kind of a volunteer parent, I didn't think about those days when you don't feel like going and you ain't got to go. But it's been highly rewarding and ready to get the season started. So I'm appreciative for the years I've been hearing y'all tell your stories about coaching. Now I get to share my own. So season 2, y'all. Let's get to it.
Welcome to the club. That's what's up, Coach Glimp.
No doubt. The official defensive line coach.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Congrats. Coaches are special people. And look, Jay, I know your dad is smiling every time you get out there.
And that was part of the decision.
Coaching them boys.
Absolutely.
Yes. So, all right. So, my word of the day, I'm going to say, is acceptance. Just trying to get comfortable with some things that just are, right? Some things just are. And so, learning to accept them with grace and move forward with grace and just be okay with the things that, I haven't learned to be okay with. So that's my word, and I'm grateful for it. And thank you guys for sharing some of what's going on in your lives and your words. And yeah, it's just the other word. I'm going to go ahead and cheat a little bit, because the other word that I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. Yes, I'm just saying. The other word is synergy. Because as I was getting ready to talk, like it came up again. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna put it out there, right? So this weekend, I had a great experience where just the synergy was so amazing in the space where I was. And then again tonight, like when I think about like the fact that we're back together, it's been a minute, and just feeling the synergy between us. It's like, again, just great to be with y'all. And it was like it ain't, how you have that friend or those friends that you haven't seen in a minute. Right. But then when you get back together, it can be a month, 6 months, a year. It doesn't matter. When you get back together, it's like you never were apart. Yes. Right. So it's just that kind of feeling that I'm having right now. So I just wanted to acknowledge it, y'all. So I love you guys. Yes. And so one more thing before we move on. Jay threw out the Coopers out there. And since he they were our only guests for last season. And so as our featured guests, I think it's appropriate for us to wish them a belated happy anniversary. Their anniversary was August 1st. And shame on me, I don't remember how many years. We're 26, they're 23. You're on mute, babe.
Al is back to Allen.
It wouldn't be right.
Back to Allen, right? First Allen of season 2 in the building.
5 minutes into the show.
Allen, right? That's okay. Y'all know what it is. I spoke to my man Coop today, and it was the Michael Jordan anniversary, as he referred to it. So it is 23. So congratulations to the Coopers, and thank you all for pitching in and being a good guest host.
Yes.
See if we do that again this year because that was kind of cool.
Yes.
God.
And then I'll
Happy anniversary.
I'll go ahead and throw it out here. Al and I have our 26th anniversary coming up in 2 days. It is on
Wow.
That's
Thursday.
crazy. I feel like y'all just had an anniversary.
Like a year ago.
That's
I
right.
know, obviously, but no, I feel like I remember you guys talking about what you did last year for your anniversary.
Mhm.
We was
Wow.
doing the show, wasn't we?
Yeah, so
We were.
we did a whole show on it, on their
We
anniversary.
did,
Yeah, it was a
yeah.
topic. So 26 years. Wow.
26.
Wow.
Well,
Yeah.
happy anniversary to both of y'all.
Right.
Beautiful couple.
Happy
Love y'all to
anniversary,
death.
y'all.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Wow.
Happy
Thank you.
anniversary, Al.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah,
Happy
looking forward to it.
So y'all at 26. Stevens, what year are y'all approaching? I know y'all got one later this year, right?
No, we
No,
just
we
had
had
it.
You
one
just had
pass.
it. Okay, I knew it was close sometime soon. All right.
Yep, June 21st.
Right. Well,
Oh,
happy
yeah,
belated
okay.
anniversary.
Oh, happy
Happy
belated
belated.
anniversary.
Happy belated.
Yeah, it's been 13 years.
Wow.
Yeah, it's 13th
13.
anniversary.
Nice.
Yes.
Wow.
Lucky 13.
All right. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
JR and Ladine, what are y'all approaching?
We just hit 10 in January, so
All right.
we're in the halfway mark.
All right.
Halfway.
Halfway. We quitting at 20?
No.
You know what she means.
Halfway during the year.
I was like,
She gonna renegotiate.
right.
Hold on.
I'm like, let me look at my contract.
Yes.
Oh,
All
man.
right, y'all. So let's go ahead and get started. We've got a pretty interesting topic tonight. We try often to pick topics that are like going to be useful to people, right? Like this is real life, real stuff, and this is a topic that I know we have dealt with. Al and I as a couple. I know that JR and Ladine have. I feel like I know that Keita and Thomas has as well. And if you haven't, you will, right? Because this is one of those things that just happen. You gotta figure out how to manage it, right? So, all right. So tonight we are going to be talking about like how much of your marital stuff, your marital issues, your conversations, like just things that happen in your marriage, how much of that should you share with your family or friends? Like, how much is okay? And how much is too much? Like, where do you draw the line? Have y'all had issues with it? Like, so we're going to touch on all of that while we spend time with you all this evening. So, just off the jump, does anybody have a story that they want to start off with? Like, that you've had, either good or bad, because sometimes, like when you think about this, you automatically go to the negative and you think it's like, but sometimes, good stuff comes out of, sharing. So anybody got any stories, good or bad, about stuff that they shared with a family or friend that turned out to be a wonderful situation or turned out to be, this was not a good idea?
You know, I always got a story to tell, but I would like somebody else to go first. Come on, y'all. What's really good? Nobody got nothing?
I mean,
Take it.
Drop it. You go.
tell your
You
story.
go first.
Right.
You know what, Keita? Keita, don't start, Keita.
Thank you, Keita.
Go for it,
So,
Ladine.
I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna knock it out the park with this one. Now let me stop. So, okay. Oh my gosh. This is you see this show is really I think we go deep. I think we get deep. And it's exciting, and I'm praying that our listeners really benefit from a lot of the shit that we talk about, because this shit is really real. It is not a game. It's it's really deep into our lives. So
And this is marriage, right? Like
right,
marriage is deep. Like
some
and
real life
sometimes
It
shit
ain't-
right here. This
it
is
ain't for
life
suckers.
is-
lives we talking
it
about.
sure ain't for suckers, and sometimes
It
It's definitely not for
and
suckers.
sometimes it cut deep too. So you gotta-
Right.
yeah, just
So
saying.
So JR and I know that we mentioned it in season 1. JR and I, we were separated for a year. And during that time, I know I had plenty of conversations with family and friends. Of course, everyone wanted to know what was happening, what was going on, what happened. And so for me, I didn't, of course, you can't share everything with anyone. So there were only, specific people that I shared um, a lot with. And and those people that I did share with, I'm just like, for instance, Gina, for example, I share a lot with Gina because we just have that relationship. There's just um, a comfort zone of 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 confidentiality that I know is there, and she's my person, and in the Glimp family, she's my person.
Us
So
outlaws got to stick together.
right, us outlaws got to stick together. So, but there were definitely family members of mine, where and friends that once I had shared, some things that had happened, some things that weren't happening, just my expectations, his expectations of me, and just sharing, I guess, what JR and I had shared with each other as things that hadn't worked and things that weren't working over the years. And when I shared those things, it was so amazing to see um how many other people actually opened up, how many people were experiencing a lot of the same things and were afraid to talk about it and didn't know and were suffering in their relationships because they didn't know how to talk about them. And so me actually sharing allowed them to see their lives differently because they were able to, oh my God, so many of them were able to move on and move forward differently. So I'm grateful for that. I do think I overshare. I think I say a little too much sometimes, and that's something that I'm working on for Ladine. Because I share a lot all around in every aspect of my life. So I am working on that because I don't feel that everything needs to be shared. And I'm just not talking about marriage, like I said, in every aspect of my life. And so I'm working on that for me because it's just a personal goal that I have. And um but it was definitely beautiful to see what was created out of these conversations. And I was grateful to be able to be there for people that were suffering in their relationships, not even necessarily their marriages, but just their relationships, period. It opened up a lot of different trauma healing for me. It opened up so much. Just talking and actually sharing about this stuff. Because I don't recall, I feel like a lot of my struggles within our marriage were because of what I thought marriage was supposed to look like. And what my expectations of it was. And so just actually having the conversations allowed me to see it differently. And so there was so much healing that went on within um, talking about it. But then afterward, of course, after getting back together and after working through more stuff, and it's just it became a little more sacred to me. It became a little more sacred to not share. It became a little my relationship with him and growing our relationship and not talking to anyone else. I didn't ever want to talk to anyone else about us. And I remember one day JR said to me, he was like, "Don't bitch to me about me. Go fucking bitch to your girlfriends about me. Don't bitch to me about me." And I was like, "Why the fuck would I not tell you about you?" And it makes sense to me. But afterward, he explained to me what he meant, and I got it. But in the midst of it, I was like, "The fuck is wrong with him? If I got an issue with him, I need to be able to come to him and let him know what the fuck my issue is, right?" Oh, it was hilarious. Anyway, um,
I'll
but
explain.
so he can elaborate later before I lose my train of thought. So it was just so I definitely felt that our relationship was it just became more personal. I think because we learned how to be friends, and because we learned how to have a different respect for each other that I think we both lost and went out the window a long time ago. And it it just made it different. So um yeah, I think the good experience about sharing was being not just being able. I'm very big on when I say things out loud, and I watch people as they do it also. When you say something out loud and when you're actually able to talk about it with people that can receive you and are giving, I don't want biased feedback, right? I prefer for those to be for others that I'm conversing with to be honest with me. And so when you receive that kind of, I guess like what Gina was saying, her beautiful word synergy, when you have that synergy with someone and you're able to really just vibe and have an I don't want to say have an understanding, but just I guess, yeah, have an understanding of what it is that's happening with yourself, just because of the level of communication that you have with another person. It just makes it so much better. So to be able to have that and be an eye opener for someone else and have them open my eyes to something different and new, and just so many different possibilities in my marriage, in my relationships, and just communicating, period. It was dope. So yeah, it was dope. Hello?
Mm-hmm.
Are we- What's going on?
It was a drop the mic moment.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Look, I'm sorry. I had an ill-timed swallow. Thank you for sharing, Ladine. Like that was you said. You said a lot, and it's funny because look, when you started, right, we were both sitting over here on mute, and he mouthed to me, "Where do you think she's going with this?" And I'm like, "I don't know," right? But I so did not expect it. I didn't expect you to go where you went. So that was a beautiful story. Thank you for sharing that. JR, do you want to come behind her? I know there was something you had a comment about something that she said. I think you can elaborate on, the bitching comment, I think.
Right. So what I meant by that at the time was
Come on,
like
Thomas.
don't what I meant by that at the time was like don't vent to me about me. Like you vent about me to your friends or to whoever. But like we can have a conversation and we can talk about things. But don't bitch and vent to me about me. Like if we're gonna have a bit session about each other, we can do that all day. But let's talk to each other, but you can vent to me to other people. You get what I'm saying? So that was my point in that. But I definitely definitely feel what Lay's saying. I'm she's like she said, she's an oversharer, and like sometimes when she shares in my presence, I'm always catching myself from like tapping her on the shoulder, like ease up. But that's who she is, so I have to train myself to step back because I'm such a private person that I've had to be intentional about being vulnerable with people and sharing and opening up to people. So as a constant reminder to myself to be vulnerable and to be open. So to hear her share a lot of times, yeah, it's totally against the grain for me. But it can be a beautiful thing. But like most things in life, it can cut both ways. So, I'm extremely close to like my sisters, but even they say I don't share enough. So, and again, that can cut both ways. So, Lay and I have, especially earlier in our marriage, we would go at it about how much she shared with her family and how much, and to me, it's not only how much you share, but how much influence those people have on your decisions after that sharing. You get what I'm saying? So how much their input influences your decisions after you share is also big to me. So, we would have, I remember one in particular, I think it was Thanksgiving at Al and Gina's house, where, I was there, Lay was supposed to come and we didn't. Long story short, I felt like her sister had too much influence over her decision not to come. And it's just, but those are things we had to work through. And, things that we had to be open about and to be honest about and to kind of unlearn a lot of things that we learned about ourselves over the years and learned about our family members. Because regardless of, how well somebody takes it or how well intentioned they may be, it's only so much you can share, because after shit smooths out in your house, they still got the rough patch in their mind. So, it's not a straight line. This thing, it's levels to this shit. But I absolutely agree with what Leigh had to share.
There's always levels to this shit. And it seems like the level, like you never ever finish peeling back the onion, right? It's just another layer after layer. So one thing I do want to say to you, Ladine, before we move on, because I know how important it is, or how good it feels, I guess, sometimes when people notice a change in behavior of something that you've been working on, right? So I did not know that this was an intentional, something that you were trying to curb. But I noticed a difference in the amount that you share.
Well, thank you, Boo. He's just working, okay?
Definitely less. So kudos to you, as it was, something you was working on. So good job. Yes. So, this for me is always a little tricky, right? Because I've said this before, Jay and I are alike in this way. I'm a pretty private person, and for a variety of reasons, one of the wonderful things is I'm figuring out some of the reasons why I'm that way. I don't know how I feel about them, but I'm figuring them out.
It's a journey, ain't it?
Yeah. What?
Oh
man.
My God.
So, and so this is always like sticky for me, because Al and I are different in this way as well. I'm definitely more private than he is about most things. But so, and there's been times when, because I know this, I've asked him, please don't share this. Don't share. Please don't tell your siblings about this. Don't tell the fellas about this. Like, whatever it is. And there have been times when I felt guilty about doing that, right? Or just questioning, like, is that okay? Is that because he may need someone to talk to about this particular situation. And is it fair for me to ask him not to do that to protect me? Right. Yeah. So I don't know. And it's almost like, then on the flip side, it's like, sometimes there are things that's just your story, right? And then who has the right to tell your story? And I think that that's important. And Al, I want to say that Al has said stuff to me before, like, well, if you tell me your story, then it's like, kind of like it's no longer your story and I have the right to tell it. I think I paraphrased that correctly. He gave me the nod, so I think I'm good. And so then there's that perspective, right? But I just kind of, and so it's just beyond, and that's about marriage and even outside of marriage. Like for me, that's just about relationships. And so how much is okay to tell just from that perspective of, who has the right to tell the story or not tell the story, or to ask for the story not to be told. And then do you have to honor that? I know I'm throwing in another wrench into the,
I love
conversation.
That, Gina. I love that. But go ahead.
Yeah. So, yeah. So, any comments? So Al, let me, again, a natural, what do they call it? Lob over to you, since I brought in and I paraphrased one of your sentiments that you've shared with me. So one, clarify for me, and then just kind of talk to us about why you feel that way. You are on mute again.
am getting real good at Alan. Um, so I definitely feel like unless you tell me, don't tell me, don't tell somebody, then it is up to my discretion if I'm going to share. But I also think that so that wasn't a bad paraphrase. Um, I think generally when it comes to marriage, outside people is really none of their business. And so they don't have a right to know. I agree with you. I'm less private than you are, but I feel like I'm fairly private about our marriage. I don't do a lot of sharing, but I look back and I can remember conflicts where you definitely have said, but don't share this. Even though I might have not shared it, but it definitely wasn't an off limit thing at the time when you said it. So I would definitely agree that you are more private than I am. At the end of the day, I think so much has changed over our marriage. Like I think when Ladine talks about we come in with this opinion on how much should you share based on your perception on marriage, I would agree. I think when I came into the marriage, my attitude was more, I don't care if you tell your family or not. I tell them what I did or tell them who I am because it didn't matter to me. And you would share different sentiments and I would respect it. But I think over time, I saw how it altered people's perception, because I think JR was right in that um, you might get better in your marriage and move on, but the other person doesn't. And because they don't live with you and understand what y'all are going through and that y'all have made peace, it has changed how they see you. And I don't think I appreciated that coming into marriage. So my attitude was, shit, tell them whatever you want. Over time, I changed that. And I have found myself regretting that and even telling you like, nah, why you told him that? And I probably have evolved on that stance and feel like everything shouldn't be told. And now I definitely am. It's none of their damn business. But your point about we need an opportunity to release, or we should have an opportunity to release, I think is important, because there are things that you're going through as a married person that having counsel from people who love you is important. And, remembering that there are a lot of people out here listening to us and going through all types of situations, being able to share what you're going through and getting the perspective, hopefully unbiased, hopefully objective, of someone that you can trust, that needs to be an option. And so I have used that at times where I have gone to friends and family and been like, yo, this is what I'm going through. And it has helped. But because I respect your not wanting them to know all our business, and I also don't think they need to know all our business, I'm real selective when I do that. But it does, I think what I do share more is the good things and less of the bad things.
That's interesting too. Another twist.
I definitely also don't do a lot of volunteering, but I rarely lie. Or, you know what I mean? Like if you're gonna ask me the question, I tend to give you the reals, but I ain't the one that's always gonna be volunteering shit. Unless you done told me don't tell nobody.
Well, I'm telling you now, I'm gonna need you to lie sometime. Or don't have to lie. Just straight up tell them I don't want to talk about that. I'm not gonna tell you that or whatever. All right, Thomas and Keita, we haven't heard your voice yet.
Wake up.
Hello.
Well, Ladine just left. I'm not sure what's happening.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Alan today too. I thought I hit the button.
Welcome to the club.
Yes. with me, I'm an open book. I will say that. I'm sure Thomas will agree. But I pick and choose. I have certain people that I feel comfortable that I would talk about the situation because it's kind of like therapy or just getting rid of the stress, like just releasing. Instead of like balling it up inside. That's how I feel. When it comes to my sister, I tell her I tell her basically everything, but sometimes it kicks me in the butt with her. Because when you tell that certain family member, she'll bring the shit back up or kind of say things kind of slick and be kind of nasty with it. And I'm like, well, damn, bitch. Like, you going through the same thing I'm going through. You know what I'm saying? So it kind of like bite me. And then we're kind of like, not arguing, but just kind of being nasty towards each other. But we still know that, we tell each other everything because we feel like we're not perfect. And so we kind of feed off of each other and just how we feeling and because she knows what I like and I know what she likes and I know what she doesn't like. So that's why I feel like I tell my sister everything. Thomas doesn't agree with it. But and then, oh my God, when it comes to friends, I feel like when I become an open book, um I just can't help myself. When they start talking about their relationship and how bad it is, I kind of try to console them. I say courage and things, but I put myself in the situation. Sometimes it's not always good, but I just feels like that helps them if I put my situation with theirs so their situation wouldn't look so bad. I don't know why that's so bad not to do that, but Thomas feels like that's kind of bad to do it. But I don't know. But I'm an open book. I feel like it's good to tell. It's not good to hold things, but you pick and choose. Don't tell everything because people don't need to know. But I just have certain people that I tell certain things to and certain people that I don't because I know they'll bring the shit up and then we may be arguing or something like that. So I just don't say nothing.
So can I just interject just real quick before you talk, Thomas? So, all right, so that was a part of the question that I asked, right? Like kind of who is it okay to even when your spouse doesn't want? Like, is it okay to tell his story or his part of the story? Or like, so Kita, clearly you've put it out there that you are okay with telling and Thomas don't want you to tell. So I'm gonna ask Thomas why he think it's not a good idea. But before we go to Thomas, I'm gonna ask you, why do you think it's a good idea? Like, why is it okay in your mind um, to tell it all, despite the fact that Thomas doesn't want his business out there in the street? I mean, his business, y'all business combined, like whatever. And I don't know if it's just your sister or if it's just generally speaking, but yeah.
Well, it's because Thomas doesn't want to tell nothing. And so that's not going to happen with me. He doesn't want to tell anything. But I feel like you feed off of people. Like when you tell them like your situation or whatever happened, then they come up with the scenario because sometimes you can't articulate or may not say something that you want to say. And then I'd be like, ooh, that's good. I was like, let me write that down because I need to say that to him. That type of thing. So sometimes you feed off of people because when you're like mad or upset or anything that could be happening in your relationship, you don't think straight. And sometimes you don't say the things that you want to say. And then sometimes that person can bring that out of you.
Gotcha.
So, I mean, that's just how I feel.
Okay. All right, Thomas. What say you?
When you're talking to them motherfuckers, keep my name out your mouth. That's all I'm saying. hey, 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 that's all. Hey, no That's all I'm saying. But I mean, it's not really that bad. But I still don't. I mean, it's not appeasing to me. Like I'll walk by and I hear her say, "Yeah, that's the same thing I try to tell Thomas." See, when Thomas do, and I'd be like, "No, no, 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 not when Thomas do nothing. Don't do that." Yeah, yeah, girl. When Thomas do that, this I was like, no, 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 not when Thomas do nothing. But but she does it, man, and it really does get under my skin. Like I don't tell my family like anything because I just don't want any. Not saying well exactly. I don't want any skewed thoughts on her like because when I come to them, I may be complaining about something, and I don't want them to get that notion that that this is all she does, right? Because it typically you talk about someone when they're not doing what you want them to do, and that's the picture that the other person will get because that's what you're saying about that person. So I just don't typically say anything. Like I'll rather like Jay, I'll talk to Jay or whatever because it's just because Jay knows the good and the bad, so or my friends or someone of that nature. But I know no matter what, Jay's not gonna be skewed. Like he's not gonna come to my defense and be like, "Pooh man, just let her go," or whatever. But when you're talking because family, they're all for you no matter what. They may not be your family may be biased, towards you because you've all they had or they've been in your life since you're 5 years old, and so it's just that they're not looking at it in both pictures, both sides of the spectrum. They're gonna be typically one sided and they can be one sided just because of what you're telling them or displaying to them. So I typically don't say anything, to my fam.
Nothing. And I hate when I tell my mom or something and she doesn't even do anything about it. I'm like, damn, I told you so you can may say something. But she don't say nothing.
What do you mean? You mean you tell her so she can say something to Thomas?
Yeah.
What
Are
you
you
want her to say to your
kidding
husband?
me?
She telling on Thomas to her mama.
I don't understand what's happening right now, Gina.
I only told you this so you can probably talk to him. Don't say nothing. So it's a waste of me even saying
Yeah,
it.
but she can't. What your mom can say to me?
Right. You need to talk to him, Keita. What you doing, Keita?
And then like one time we was doing something. She was like, yeah, you know what I'm saying. And then I think I overheard her saying something. Yeah, Pop, you need to talk to Thomas. And I was like, man, I wish motherfucking Pop would come talk to me. You know what I'm saying? like that's my stance. Like I wish you would come talk to me about something with my wife. My house. Like you better be easy with that. So that to me that's uncool. You know what I'm saying? That's just uncool. I don't get it.
So it's interesting that you brought up the thing about, what your family members will think. Al touched on it too. And so for me, that's a part of it too, Thomas. Like it's about me protecting Al or whoever, like, you or my children, like, because I don't want, um, I don't want you to I don't want you to have a negative opinion of him based on what I've said, you know, experience him for yourself, particularly people that I know, like Al said, there are people in my family who like hold on to stuff for forever. And I'm like, really, that was 20 years ago. Like, and so, I've learned, like, I don't talk to those people about anything, because I just don't, it's not worth it, at the end of the day. But I think a big part of it for me is the why. Like, why are you talking to this particular person, and why are you sharing this information? Because intentions matter, right? And if it's about like I'm having a hard time and I need some advice, that's very different than I'm having a bitching session, and so I'm just telling what my husband did because I'm mad and I want misery love company, so I want somebody to be mad with me. Like, so for me, that's one of the ways in which I decide, if I'm going to share something
or not. And even then, it's like, very particular about the who. who is going to be, because everybody, I think Ladine, I think you might have said, everybody don't have your best interest at heart, man. So it's like, be careful, be careful. And back in the day, and I haven't heard anybody say it, even recently. Well, I guess as much as the previous generation used to, right? Particularly in Ladine, Chiquita, and all the ladies out there. I know y'all gonna know what I'm talking about. Did your mamas or did she not tell you? Don't tell your female friends about your sex life.
Yes.
They
But you lied.
did. I'm sorry. I'm breathing heavy, but they did. I'm breathing heavy because they did. But you mean your sex life in your marriage?
In your marriage.
Okay. Yeah, they definitely did that.
In your marriage, but that's about that protecting your like not talking about all of your business. There's some things that's supposed to stay just within your household. There's some things it's more dangerous to tell than others. And while I don't necessarily subscribe to the thinking behind all of the thinking behind why we were told that, but there's a lot of truth to it. You got to be careful because everybody out there is not, don't have the best interests of your family at the forefront. So, but Ladine, I'm interested to hear, JR chime in as well. Um, I'm interested to hear how you feel about what I said about, whether or not you should be telling it against your spouse's wishes, who has the right to tell the story, all that sentiment.
You gotta hit me with a woo, 'cause he can't stand it. I mean, there were times even the other day, somebody was saying something. I think I was talking to my sister. She was telling me something her husband was doing. And I was like, "Yeah, Jr." Like Keita was saying, "Yeah, Jr. does this." He said, "What the fuck you telling them what I do for? Like, what is that? What does that have to? Like, what are you
Man, listen.
doing?" He can't stand it. He's always hated that, but I like Keita, I know, and that's part of the oversharing. I feel like we share our version because that's what makes it relatable, is when you're able to share. But I do understand that sometimes, and I know that in conversation it's a little more necessary to just shut the fuck up and listen. I'm learning this as an adult, all right? I'm learning. But instead of always needing to give or always needing to tell your story, telling your story is such a big deal for people. And because they want to be relatable, they want to relate, or they want to be understood, they give their side. So I get that. But I don't know. He just didn't like it. So yeah, I am a little more mindful. Like, for instance, if it comes to his family, I'm a little more mindful of what I share, especially now. Before I definitely wasn't. I've grown to have a better relationship with my sister-in-laws, that at first wasn't there. Me and one sister, we just didn't have a relationship at all, and that wound up bonding over the years. And me and the other sister, we definitely had, well, one of the other sisters, excuse me, we definitely had a little bit more of a relationship. But it just, I realized I shared way too much during the time that we were separated. And so now it's so funny because it's like sometimes they look at me to share, like they want to know, like, what's going on? You guys okay? What's happening? And I'm just like, mute with the shits. So, and it's not even mute. I'm just really not willing to give. And I do feel that it is his place, if he wants to share, that he gets to do that, especially with his family, because I think because he's not such a sharer and he's not open about many things, I think that it would support him, to share a little more and to be a little more open. And if he chooses to do that, then he can. And if he doesn't choose to, then he won't. So I am definitely more mindful of what I share, when I share, and who I share it with. But in the past, no, I was not. And I was really on some, I don't give a fuck because this is happening to me. And I was such a victim that I didn't care because it was happening to me. And and I didn't understand or take responsibility for my place in it. And I think that made it easier to share because I was completely in victim mode. Does that make sense?
Man, listen. So,
Here we go.
yo, all right. So, me and Lay had come to this agreement that, we're not going to discuss any financial information with anyone regarding this house, right? So I come in the room one day, and next thing I know, she neck deep in a conversation with my brother-in-law about the financials of this house. And next thing I know, this nigga giving me advice on shit and offering me to call his friends and shit. Like, what the fuck? How we get here? And I'm looking at it like, yo, like, what the fuck? I thought we talked about this.
Didn't I say he was not allowed to go in on me tonight? And I wasn't with it, and I wasn't with the shits tonight. Didn't I say that before we started this podcast?
That is what you said, and clearly that doesn't matter.
Okay, go ahead, Tommy.
I ain't going. I didn't know I was censored tonight, but okay. I'm saying, but things like that, like it wasn't like, she wasn't like. I don't even think she was being intentionally like against what we discussed already. She just gets caught up in the moment of sharing. And like in the moment, I was like, yo, how do we even get here? Like, I don't know your friends to be calling them and offering me advice. Nigga, I ain't even want you to know. So, like, but it's things like that. And Gina, we talked about this before on the show where, like, it's even little things where, like, don't be FaceTiming somebody and then turn the phone on me. Like, now I got to talk to somebody and, like, you just invading my space right there. It's those things.
Right.
Or it's like, and as an introvert, people don't get that you got to give me time to prepare to interact, right? You can't just throw me into a situation. You can't come to me and say, hey, we going here today because, just heard about it. So somewhere we got to go. Like, nah, you don't do that to me. You got to give me time to prepare, right? So don't just turn, the phone at me and expect me to be open and free and ready to talk to people, or don't just like throw me into a conversation I'm not prepared for. This is just not how I'm wired. So that's why I don't share everything with everybody, because it's just not how I'm wired. I have to be prepared, and I got to approve you on this list in order for me to share, first of all, and then the subject matter has to be approved by me. So it ain't just something I just go sharing willy-nilly like with just anybody. It don't make sense to me. And and most of the times I don't have the energy for the back and forth or for other people's energy around it, especially if I've already made my decision. There's no point in me, having a conversation and getting somebody else's opinion unless I choose to. So.
Does it matter, like, just generally speaking, are there people that you don't want your spouse, people that you would rather your spouse not share things with more than other people? And does your spouse know who they are?
That's a great question, Tommy.
And we don't have to call any names.
Well, no, I mean they're certain friends. No, not calling them, but I mean they're. She got a lot of BFFs, but one in particular, like she can call if Lay ain't here, or if Lay's in the shower. I'll pick up the phone and we'll have our own conversation. So she knows who she is. But she was just up there at her house, so that's one that I don't mind her sharing stuff with. A couple of her friends I don't mind. There's a couple that You know, I'm like. I mean, I guess there's a couple that I don't know as well, so I don't feel as comfortable, and they don't know me as well, so I don't feel as comfortable. And then like family members, you know, I mean, cause me and my brother-in-law, like Sam, we don't speak often, but when we do, the conversation's always good. We always sharing stuff. So he's one I don't really mind because he's not intrusive. And he's a private person himself. So
we were not supposed to say names.
Well, I'm just saying. Well, I ain't like I'm throwing him under the bus. I'm throwing him a bone.
I know.
That's my dude. So, but yeah, I think she knows the people. I don't like the people I don't mind her sharing with. But I'm not there every time she shares, so I don't know who all she shares everything with. So I would hope that she respect my boundaries. I hope so.
Well, I gotta be honest. I don't like when he shares.
She does not.
I don't. I don't like when he shares because JR's got that gift of gab, and he's got a great way that when he tells a story, like the story be like, yeah, and you want to believe it no matter what. And so, he just has a great way of allowing it to see it from his perspective. Not saying he's, changing it, purposely. It's his perspective of what is happening or what happened. And it's never the same as mine. Do you know what I'm saying? So I hate when he shares because when he shares, it makes me look like shit. And I hate that. So I do hate when he shares because when he does share, I just feel like I look like the fucking bum bitch. And I don't want to be the bum bitch.
So you want everybody to be honest with you except for me?
No, that's not it, JR. That's not what the fuck I just said.
I don't know. That's confusing to me. Go ahead.
But we can talk about that another time. But so that's why I personally don't like when he shares because I feel like his version of the story is always different from what actually happened. And yeah, that's it. And go ahead.
Keita, Thomas, Al.
Thomas, do you have some?
I'm good, man. I feel the same way about everybody.
He doesn't like share for anyone.
He said when you talking to them motherfuckers, keep his name out your mouth. That's all of them.
Hey, like Jesus, man, don't mention my name. But I feel the same way about them all. But I know who I married, so
I don't like when you share and then it's a lie involved.
Never.
So then I step in because I don't want that lie to be told.
Never that. Never lie.
Okay.
Never lie.
Keita, is there anybody that you would rather him really not, out of everybody? Please don't tell her or him.
Is there a person? Not really. Not really. I don't have anyone with him because he don't really. He keeps his stuff in the dark. So if he shares, I'm nowhere around. I've never seen Thomas really share anything. Not when I'm around. But it seems like people be knowing. Because when he shares with Chad is gonna tell me that's his cousin. And then we maybe a joke and laugh about it. But sometimes it don't be funny.
Because there's nothing I wouldn't share with something. I wouldn't share with something like that with Chad because I know that's what Chad will do.
I thought we were saying names.
Yeah. Oh, my bad. I mean,
but everybody on here know Chad well enough to you don't tell Chad shit anyway.
Don't do him like that. Don't do him like that.
What up, Chad? We love you. We know you ain't listening.
No, but I don't really have no one because Thomas, if he's telling anything, it's in the dark. And then I feel like if he's telling his mom anything, she's not gonna say anything.
Nah, I mean my mom is fair, but she all poo. So I'm not really gonna, say anything because mom be like, well, if you don't say nothing, I'm gonna say something because that's the type of person my mom is. So
I'll tell her.
right, you ain't gonna say nothing, I'm gonna say something.
And see, that's what I be wanting when I tell.
So
but my parents sit back.
So that's how my mom is. So I'd rather be easy, because I'd be like, mom, go ahead.
But all in all, telling to me is not a bad thing. I feel like, but sharing sex life, I think that's going a little too far. I don't really do that. Sometimes I do get upset when some girls do share. I be like, damn, well, Thomas ain't never did that before.
That's why you don't be telling women what you got going on in the bedroom. Because you got other women sitting there talking about, ooh, I don't do that. Look.
I think they say that because they always worried about whether or not the next woman's gonna try to jump on your man's stuff. Right. I think that's where that saying comes from. Not necessarily, oh well, why don't he do that for me? But that's why I'm laughing over here because that shit is mad funny. And I'm over here thinking like, damn, I wonder if this ever happened in conversations with me and other people. As far as like them telling them story and me thinking, oh well, he don't do that for me.
In some cases,
either way,
I have opportunities where I could shine, and I had a little shine light on myself because they've done things that I've done and they haven't done. So it goes both ways, but sometimes that happens.
Yeah. This thing, like I think we all agree, it can be a little tricky. It's no steadfast rules to this thing. You just kind of, I guess, play it by ear, take into consideration who you are, who your partner is, but as with anything else, you just always do what's best for you and your marriage. I don't know. I think that's another whole topic, right? Because sometimes picking that priority, I don't know. Like,
And just knowing, I'm sorry, but just knowing that like after everything's okay and you settled everything and things are good again, most of us don't follow up with the friend or family member and say, hey, this is what happened after I told you all that other shit. So they left with the bad taste in their mouth about whatever you shared about your mate.
Right.
And and then you get the comments. So you get even if they don't say anything, they have this. It's human nature. They're gonna become biased against your spouse if you share enough with them because nobody ever follows up with the resolution. We end it with the bad shit. So just be careful how much you share and who you sharing it with because it's just human nature. People are gonna hold on to the last thing they heard.
And for a lot of folks, it's human nature to repeat stuff that they heard.
Mm-hmm. Especially
and
married
get it
folks.
Wrong.
Right.
Yeah,
You don't want
married folks. They messy, they bored,
and
they
gotta
talk to each other about
right.
everything.
That's what I'm saying. They got a natural gossip mate right there with them. So you damn right.
Cause I ain't gonna front. We be talking mad shit. All right.
But are y'all sharing good stuff too? Is the question, or is it just venting?
You muted, I think. I can't hear you.
Crickets.
But I like no. Can y'all hear us?
What was the question, Al? I didn't.
Are you sharing, or is it just the negative stuff?
Can y'all hear us? But yeah, I mean, sure, we share, good stuff too. I mean, I don't think either one of us sit around and just, talk shit about folks. That's fun at times also. But, I always try to make it a point to, to celebrate people as well. So, but
definitely, you want to share the positive so your shit don't look like it stinks. So.
I'm right.
I mean, the shit definitely gonna stink whether we share it or not. But it's funny because I think that some people get caught up in sharing too much of the positive also, and they don't ever, and then they never share. And maybe that's why I think I share so much, because I get tired of those fucking people. Because
Ooh,
why
you
you
right.
always
That is a
look
good one.
right? Because why you always look like your shit tight and everything's all good, bitch? I know you got dirt up in that motherfucker, but you ain't got to share it. It's all right. I know you dirty. All right.
That's
I'm serious, because
hilarious.
I can't stand those people. They make me crazy.
Yeah.
But I
That's why I
definitely
don't post like
share
that
the
on
good stuff.
Instagram. I don't post like that on Instagram because everybody want to share the positive. I'm like, y'all, please.
Oh yeah,
Right.
that's.
It definitely
Like,
can.
shit
Oh,
going
now
on.
those shares, social media period is a dangerous ground, because
Yeah.
people don't want you to see the 29 selfies they fucked up before they posted the 30th one. Like, they don't want you to see that shit. So,
Yeah.
social media is a
And I
dangerous place.
and I agree. It definitely paints an unrealistic picture.
Right.
Because ain't nobody's shit all good all the time. But Al, I think you make a valid point. You too, Jr. That it's important to share the good, like 'cause you got to create that balance, and I think that's one of the ways that you get away from people leaving, with a salty taste in their mouth, or that relative having that lingering negative feeling, because you've had an opportunity to replace it with some good stuff. So definitely share the good. Don't shit on your spouse all the time, because hopefully there's some good there. Because if it's not, then you might want to reevaluate why you're with them. I'm just saying, generally speaking. Choose you, protect your spouse, protect your marriage. Y'all know most of the time, like, real talk, this ain't no different than most other things. We know the right thing to do. We hear that little voice until we ignore it too much. Maybe it's not as loud, but most of the time before we do stuff, we know. And if you second guessing whether or not your spouse wants you to share that, then you probably shouldn't. If you second guessing if you share too much information with this person, you probably have. You might want to hold back that next story you was getting ready to tell. What's more important, entertaining or protecting your marriage? So just food for thought, y'all. Hopefully you got some nuggets from us sharing tonight. If not, then maybe you need to reevaluate too. I don't know, but there was some good stuff out here. I'm just saying. All right, y'all. It was another great show. It's great to be back. Glad you came to listen, and we'll see you next week, same time, same channel. Good night, everybody.
Night,
Good
y'all.
night.
Peace.
Peace.
Peace.